I request Advocate Bharat Sheth, immediate past president of AGFTC, and CA Ravi Shah, honorary joint secretary of AGFTC, to escort J.K. Mittal sir on the dais, along with the other dignitaries, Advocate Narendra Karkar, Advocate Mahendra Swamy, CA Ritesh Gandhi, Advocate Madhusudan Patel. We welcome each one of you on the dais. It's a privilege to have Advocate J.K. Mittal sir as eminent speaker for the gathering. Let me now attempt to introduce J.K. Mittal sir. Chartered accountant turned advocate, Shri J.K. Mittal sir has been practicing advocacy, particularly in indirect taxes, in the High Court and Supreme Court. He is the co-chairman of the National Council on Direct Taxes Association. The Supreme Court Bar Association has Shri J.K. Mittal sir for 9 consecutive years from 2006 to 2014 and also in the year 2016 to 18 on the occasion of Law Day. Sir has authored several books, Law, Practice and Procedure of Service Tax, Introduction to GST, Handbook on Equalization Levy, Handbook on GST Law are a few to name. Sir, we heartily welcome you to the 2-day Conclave 2022. And now I request CA Ravi Shah, sir, to come forward and welcome sir with a book. Thank you so much, sir. I now request Advocate Bharat Sheth to present a memento to sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, each one present here is all yours for your address. I request you to please come ahead and grace the podium.
My friends on the dais of the dais, it is indeed a great pleasure for me to be here with my professional colleagues. The topic which has been chosen for me is quite interesting. Let's begin with the 2-3 things. Once the GST was introduced, probably there was a lot of hopes. And I believe if the new tax has come, there should have been fewer litigations or the litigation of a newer type. But the litigation in GST has increased manifold. And the second thing, despite being the digital tax, the compliance burden in the GST is huge. It is enormous to fulfill the expectation of the officers and to reconcile various data. Probably it has become very difficult. And if we see the search and the survey in GST, I think it is the rarest tax in this country. With the search is just like a routine affairs. On the contrary, for the last 15-20 years, I asked my counterpart under the income tax, where the search is being probably approved at the top. Here is the reverse. Search being approved by the lowest, probably by a clerk level person. If he asks a commissioner, I have to search, commissioner will say, go and search. Therefore, if we understand, because once we are dealing with the income tax and we want to hear, in the indirect tax, we have to change our mindset also. We are living in the same country. The CBDT and CBEC or CBIC come under the same Ministry of Finance. A room is adjacent to each other's, but their parameter for working is totally different. If we see the provisions under 132 of the Income Tax Act, probably the search and seizure provision is too long. For people like me, it's very difficult even to grasp up. But for indirect taxes, for the last 60 years, you see the search and seizure provisions, it is just 3-4 lines only. First time in GST, they have expanded it little bit, but essentially it is not, more than 3-4 lines. But still, the people have, more afraid of GST rather than income tax. Those who are my colleagues from the income tax, they can witness to this statement. The income tax, the search is conducted is a genuine search. Probably there is no search in the last 5-6 decades where something is not, they come out. If you ask an income tax department, Mr. Mittal has evaded 5 lakh rupees, go for a search. कहते हैं हमारी इंसल्ट हो जाएगी, हम नहीं जाते. But in GST, if you ask, a ice cream parlor has not given a free of, cost ice cream, they will search him, maybe within 2 hours. So that is the standard they have. And I am very blunt. I am not talking with a personal guts, I am talking with experience. Therefore, the menace, if in the society is there of these kind of, the how to deal with that. The first thing is that we should not afraid about such kind of search at all. Income tax hardly search would have been challenged, but in GST, service tax, central excise, every search are being challenged. Let me give the latest example. I don't want to run too many slides. Very recently, a client from Gujarat approaches to me, he chartered accountant rather. He said, our client premises was inspected by the officers. And after inspection, they took away lot of documents also. The question arises, what was their motive and what the law says? Section 67(1) is about the inspection, which you call it as a survey. Section 67(2) is about the search and seizure. While conducting inspections, you have no business to take away even a single paper from that premises. Despite during that inspection in the Panchinama they have wrote, the Joint Commissioner as well as the Deputy Commissioner also visited that premises. Take another example where they conducted search by the GST Intelligence Department. They took away all the original document of the properties, which they had no business. But while taking away in the Panchinama, they wrote all photocopies. The client once approaches to me, he asked, can I get my original registered deed of all the property? He has large number of properties. I said, you can get it, but you have to spend money on advocate. We have to go to the court. I am not Narendra Modi. I will make a call and he will return. But he said the problem is that my officer has signed the Panchinama. These are all for his photocopies. How you will get the original copy? I said, only you have to tell me whether these were original or photocopy. The officer will present and he will return it to you. Once we challenge it before Rajasthan High Court, judge asked me, yes, it is written, Mr. Mittal, these are all photocopies. I said, very well, it is written. You call them to bring all those things. If it is photocopy, you send me to the jail. If these are the original, you send the officer to the jail. I said, this is made of, gold. And if they write it is made of a paper, how you will decide it? Because they never sealed it. The important things I am making here. They never sealed anything. It is subject to so many manipulations. Incidentally, once the court issued them the notice, they wrote in the affidavit, yes, all these are originals. By mistake, we have written photocopies. Just ask them to return immediately. And ultimately, these were returned. The kind of difference you see, if I ask my counterpart on income tax, they said if the income tax people come for a search, Whatever they take away, they sealed it properly and then take away. Here you will not find in the last 70 years, even in one instance, they have sealed anything. Very recently, a chartered accountant premises was searched in Faridabad, Haryana. Branch chairman called me. I said, okay, if you need help, tomorrow meet. And ultimately, what I have analyzed, because immediately after conducting search, the commissioner issued a press statement also. If you read that statement, it would look like that every chartered accountant is, biggest criminal of this country. Whereas I say on oath, every commissioner is thieves of this country. That's why this government coined the term, there is a tax terrorism in this country. Yesterday, even a joint commissioner was caught by red-handed GST department. If you just do only one thing, whenever they go for the search, ask the CBI to tap their phones and they will make WhatsApp call. They will make WhatsApp messages. They will make assessment on the WhatsApp. That is the strategy. Though this government made it very clear, every communication through the official email ID, they will never mention any official email ID on any communications. The kind of corruption in this, the department you can imagine. And that's why the search and seizure, to understand, I am giving the practical example rather than going theory first. Therefore, the chartered accountant premises was searched. Why it was searched? Because before that, one day I was conducting a webinar, he asked a question. Ki GST department has snatched his phone, kept it for 5 days, asked them to knee down and recorded forcefully the statement for 2-3 days. I advise him, go to the police, get the FIR registered against the officer. Listen carefully the contents I am telling you. It will change the entire thinking. Why I advise? Because suppose after 3 years a CBI land at your premises, ki somebody made a call from this phone to the Dawood Ibrahim. How you will save yourself? Because it was not the official seizure of that phone. They snatch it away. That officer might have made a call to their mistress, girlfriends, and ultimately police may come after 2-3 days. He did. And once the police called the officers, then they thought it fit to search, and that will be the end of the day. And now you hear the story further. This whole search and seizure we are discussing, I am not here to tell the stories. The search and seizure, the reality in this country under GST, and then we will read the provision. Because the provision I told you is so easy to read. Though I would have read 1,000 times this 4 line. Because every time I read, I find something to save my client. The first thing I found that on the spot, that is also very important, those who are learned from the income tax, section 132(4) of the Income Tax Act, where the specific amendment which I understand made in the act, the officer is empowered to take a statement during the search on oath. Am I correct, sir? There is no similar provision here. But you will see under GST, the officer will come for the search. They will issue on the spot a summon. They will take away forcefully the client in their own car from one city to another city or within the same city, keep in custody illegally the persons for overnight. This story I never heard under any other laws. Even not maybe the criminal laws, because in the criminal law apply to the most dreaded criminals only. And then you don't bother. But here you are dealing with the businessmen and professionals. So in that case, the chartered accountant once issued the summon. Nowadays the DIN is made mandatory to be mentioned. The DIN number was the same which was on the search authorization. And that was for the previous day search authorization. That means the message I would like to pass upon. You have to read every document carefully, where you will get something. It is not like that you can just ignore it. The second important aspects I would like to discuss with you, which you can understand as a professionals and mark the difference. I, being a chartered accountant, never done the practice under income tax. Recently, I thought I will do it. But I try to make a comparison. In one of the judgment, Justice Khanna wrote a very detailed judgment that Mr. Mittal tried to argue the service tax law with the comparison with the income tax law. No harm. My point is that unless law specifically authorized, you can't presume something is given to you to exercise the power. Like 132(4), I told you, if the income tax legislator specifically thought to empower them to record a statement under oath, and I recently found there are judgments. The statement recorded under 134(1), 131 is marked difference for the purpose of evidence under the income tax law. Therefore, the person you are authorizing to conduct a search, whether you can presume that person is also authorized to record your statement, that is an important question. I am sure I am making very clear. Therefore, let's see if couple of sections, we can read it and see it so that you can note it. By my PPT, generally consisting of only two things, either the bare provisions or the couple of citation only. This is, the provision related to the search subsection 2. Where the proper officer not below the rank of the joint commissioner, either pursuant to an inspection carried out in subsection 1 or otherwise has reason to believe that any goods is liable to be confiscated or any document or books or things which is in his opinion shall be useful for or relevant to any proceeding under this act are secreted in any place, he may authorize in writing any other officer of central tax to search and seize or may himself search and seize of such goods, documents, books or the things. Where is the question of statement here? He was authorized only for that purpose, but you will be surprised once he issues a summons. Thanks to this government has taken large number of steps. Only deficient is that nobody follow those. Like the DIN number, they started. Once, almost 15 files for different company came on my desk. I found same DIN number in every summons. Same DIN number. And I immediately wrote to the Prime Minister and Finance Minister, there cannot be bigger crime than this. I am very blunt. Once I write, I don't bother whether a commissioner, chief commissioner, superintendent, whatever may be. These are all corrupt people. The Supreme Court should have used the term only for these peoples. They are the termite eating out this country. Not the person, those who are paying taxes and you blame them, fake invoices, this invoices, that invoices. Or the chartered accountant, you blame them. And that's why if you see from the September 13, 2021, entire DIN parameter has been changed on the website. I said, then what is the use of this DIN? If the same DIN is being used for every summons and every document and we do not know whether it was for summon, whether it was for inspection, whether it was for search or what purpose, or whether it was for custom or excise, now they have changed the entire parameter if you see. So therefore, the Joint Commissioner under this section only can authorize to another central tax officer to go and search or seize. And we will come. The seizure power is very limited. It is not unlimited. Therefore, recording of that statement will not arise here. But you read the summons on the spot, he will issue you the summons and he will write, "Okay, I am making an inquiry against you for evasion of tax." One case I am arguing before Gujarat High Court. In fact, it was before a second wave, it was heard at length but Justice Pardiwala and the entire court suffered from COVID and that run has not come. The question was very simple that I raised. I did not file the return. They conducted search. The question arises, can a search can be conducted? I did not file the return. I say I did not file and I will not file tomorrow also. Do you have a power to conduct a search? The search is very limited power. It is not 132. You read 10 times, 200 times. It is the small section of 4 lines only. The search, either you have carried out the inspection and because of that inspection something you found, and that I will go to the inspection later on. The second point they are saying, the search can be authorized if you have a reason to believe any goods is liable to be confiscated. The first condition, the goods is liable to be confiscated, only the search can be conducted. And the power of confiscation, section 132 you read of the GST law. Merely because you feel ice cream was not given free of cost, you can't. Merely because I did not pay the tax. Even in fact, my presumption is that if I say I am evading tax, still you cannot conduct a search. To that extent I am saying. You read the section carefully. All we are professionals, and the section I have not drafted. It is drafted by the parliament. They can change the section. If somebody will not meet the expectation of the commissioner, he has the power to carry out the search. If your target is less, you can carry out the search. You can write anything. But what the section has on date is, second condition is that if or any documents, books or things which in his opinion to be useful for any relevant to any proceedings under this act are secreted in any places. The three things, books, documents or the things which is relevant to the proceedings are secreted. Their own manual said, if normal books of accounts you are maintaining, that can never be seized. But these are not secreted. The manner in which this section is not like this. It is there from the time memorial under the Central Excise Act, the same section. Therefore, the power of the search is very, very limited. And in that case, Justice Pardiwala asked me the questions. Did they do anything after conducting search? I said they did not do it. He said, why we should pursue it? Then that's why this case is very important. Because they were expecting we will pay them some money. They did not get the money at all. What they did do on the same day, they kept one of the ship of my client in the middle of the sea. And that arrived immediately once the court said on that day, very first day hearing, whether 8 lakh rupees per day commissioner will pay from the pocket or are you allowing them? Yes, aage, ship to aage. So that was the only thing. You are forcing them either to pay the tax like this and that. Therefore, these things are very important once you read the provisions. And if something else is there in their mind during the course of the inspection, then you read subsection 1. The inspection they can carry out. Therefore, if there is something fishy in their mind, it is not the search, it is the inspection they should carry out. And after carrying out the inspection, they find something, then they can authorize for the search. Therefore, the inspection, there are two things, one for the assessee, one for those who are engaged in the transportation business. If a taxable person has suppressed any transaction, then inspection can be carried out. If you have claimed the excess input tax credit, then the inspection can be carried out. And after inspection, then you read subsection 2 again. They said in pursuance to the inspection, you find something, then you can authorize for the search. Now the another question arises. Because the power for authorizing inspection and the search with the joint commissioner only. The question arises now, the two-day joint commissioner authorizes his officer to carry out the inspection. Now officer finds something fishy or whatever may be in his mind. He wants to go for a search. Because otherwise, advocate like Mr. Mittal will say, you can't take away the documents, this, illegal, everything. Because the search only authorizing them to take away some documents. And they want to take away something. Well, unless until they will take away, you will not approach them. And if you will not approach them, how somebody will grease their palm? Therefore, the question is that whether the same authorization will work or you need a second authorization. The law is settled under the PMLA Act, the similar situation. It's the second authorization you required under subsection 2. It is not like that the authorization given for the inspection will presume to be the inspection for the search. Therefore, he has to again form an opinion. What material? Therefore, that superintendent or the other officer who has carried out the inspection, they make out a report, they submit it report to the joint commissioner. Joint commissioner again on the basis of that material apply his mind, and then he authorized for the search. Then only it would be authorization competent under this act. Otherwise, it would be illegal authorization. Now, the another question arises, while they carrying out the search, can they take away the cash also? जो इनकम टैक्स की प्रैक्टिस करते हैं उनको बड़ा अजीब लगता होगा ये क्वेश्चन, क्योंकि इनकम टैक्स में अगर कैश नहीं लेके गए तो फिर सर्च ही कहां होगा? I analyze these provisions in greater details. The GST department has no business to take away the cash. They are not empowered, and let's discuss why I am saying so. In fact, another chartered accountant premises was searched in Delhi. And there the cash of 1.5 crore or something they took away. After 11 months, he approaches to me. By the time that, problem become much bigger, because आप अपने दुश्मन से ही एडवाइस लेते हैं. I am sure you are able to understand where I am conveying the message. The people are very intelligent. This is the officer is very nice. He is advising do this. मैं भी इसी भारत देश का वासी हूं. ऑफिसर विश्वास पात्र, ये पहली बार मैं सुन रहा हूं. अपनी सरकार ये कहती है कि देयर इज ए टैक्स टेररिज्म. मोदी जी कहते हैं मैं इनको ठीक कर दूंगा. वही आपके एडवाइजर बने हुए हैं. आर दे एजुकेटेड? हैव दे रेड एक्ट? जैसे पुलिस वालों को कभी आईपीसी नहीं पढ़ा होता, लेकिन उनको प्रैक्टिस से पता चल जाता है, इसलिए वो एडवोकेट से नहीं भिड़ते हैं. The question arises whether they can take away the cash or not. Let's discuss, in subsection 2 only. What is written? What can be taken away? First is the goods. Am I right? आप सेक्शन को बड़ा ध्यान से पढ़ना, मैं इससे बियॉन्ड कुछ नहीं. It is not a goods because the definition of the goods itself under GST law says excludes money. मनी को उन्होंने एक्सक्लूड कर दिया. एक्सक्लूड तो गुड्स से तो परे हो गया. अब लेट्स डिस्कस नेक्स्ट 3 थिंग्स. डॉक्यूमेंट्स, बुक्स और थिंग्स. क्या ये डॉक्यूमेंट हैं? क्या ये बुक्स हैं? वी नीड नॉट टू स्पेल आउट इवन. नाउ क्वेश्चन अराइजेस वेदर इट इज ए थिंग्स और नॉट. MP High Court has already said it is things and it can be confiscated. I believe totally erroneous judgments because nothing was argued. Why it could not be? You read the provision carefully. They said if these things are useful for any proceeding under this act, you only can take away these books, things, etc. If the last line you read it, such goods, such documents, such books or such things, you can take away or the seized it if these are relevant for the proceeding under this act. And you read subsequently the proviso also. The first thing is that these should be relevant. Once we challenge this case seizure before Delhi High Court posed a very simple question to the Government Council. What you will do with this case? You tell us. GST डिपार्टमेंट क्या करेगा इस केस का, ये तो बताएं. बोला इनकम टैक्स को हमने बहुत चिट्ठी लिखी है, वो लेके नहीं जा रहे. अब इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट वाले 1.5 करोड़ का क्या करेंगे? वो आइसक्रीम वगैरह के चक्कर में नहीं रहते हैं. आइसक्रीम इनकम इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट के चक्कर में. क्या समोसा फ्री में नहीं दिया तो चलो सर्च करते हैं. तो उन्होंने क्या किया, दे टुक दैट कैश इन द एसबीआई डिपॉजिट, और फिर चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट ने बताया, मैंने कहा मैं लिख दूं, बोला ये मत लिखिए, बोला वहां जाके फोन करते 75,000 कम हो गए हैं, वो लेके आओ, वो लेके गया वो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट। मतलब देखिए उसकी परमाइसिस से और वहां बैंक तक पहुंचे 75,000, उसमें भी गड़बड़ हो गए। स्टैंडर्ड देखिए, तो ऑफिसर दो जो आर सो करप्ट, उससे तो पार पाना इजी है भाई। जो जज फाइल ही ना पढ़े या जो एडवोकेट ही फाइल ना पढ़े तो वो तो केस लूज करेगा ही ना। जो ऑफिसर्स कैश लेके जा रहा है, वो वाला कैश नहीं 250 करोड़ वाला, 1-1.5 करोड़ रुपए वाला जो पॉकेट में भी आ सकता है, उसमें भी 75,000 रुपए इधर उधर हो जाते हैं। और अभी भी थर्सडे को केस लगा हुआ है, रिप्लाई फाइल नहीं किया उसमें, 2 हियरिंग के बाद भी। हमने एक अर्जेंट एप्लीकेशन लगाया कि उनको बोलो रिप्लाई फाइल करें, वो फाइल ही नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो जज ऑलरेडी आस्क व्हाट यू विल डू विद दिस केस, कि भाई आपको जीएसटी में कैश से क्या करना है। कैश तो है, सपोज मेरी पॉकेट में भी 50 करोड़ रुपया है, आपको जीएसटी में उसका करना क्या है। They are not able to answer to that. And that answer is there in the proviso. You read it. Both the proviso I am reading it. They provided that the where it is not practically is to seize any such goods, proper officer or any officer authorized by him may serve on the owner of the custodian of the goods or an order that he shall not remove or part thereof. That is related to the goods only. The second proviso is very relevant. Provided further that the documents, books or the things so seized shall be retained by such officer only for so long as may be necessary for their examination and for any inquiry or proceeding under this act. Goods तो है ही नहीं, and books और records भी नहीं है, अब things मान लो है, तो he has to retain himself for its examination so long as उसकी एग्जामिनेशन करनी है। अब देख ले भाई 2,000 रुपए का नोट ऊपर से, आगे से, पीछे से, क्योंकि उसने देखा नहीं होगा या बहुत ज्यादा देखा होगा। The law is very clear, is it not? So long as he required for his examination, he can retain it. After that, लेकिन वो कहता है फिर तो हमें कुछ मिलेगा ही नहीं। They keep it in बैंक। अभी एक और केस सीज हुआ, तो एक और चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट फर्म अहमदाबाद अप्रोचेस टू मी, हालांकि वो केस अभी प्रोसीड नहीं हुआ। मैं कहते हैं केस तो रख नहीं सकते, द प्रॉब्लम वाज डिफरेंट। ही सेड द माय क्लाइंट वांटेड टू पे आउट ऑफ दैट केस टैक्स व्हाटएवर द डिपार्टमेंट इज आस्किंग। नाउ द डिपार्टमेंट एडवाइज दैट क्लाइंट कि यू राइट ए लेटर टू द एसबीआई कि इसमें से इतना पैसा अब टैक्स में जमा करा दो। मैंने कहा कमिश्नर इज ए फूल, he has deposited that cash, asking assessee, you write a letter to a bank and bank will do something. Everybody will go to jail. How the bank can do with that money when the third party is writing? Just to show sympathy. इंडिया में जितने टैक्स पेयर्स मैंने देखे हैं, उनका हार्ट बड़ा कोमल होता है कमिश्नर्स के लिए, जो सर्च भी करता है, जो पैसे भी लेके जाता है, हरेस भी करता है, फिर भी कहते हैं ऑफिसर बहुत नाइस है, ही इज एडवाइजिंग गुड, बिकॉज यू पीपल आर नॉट चार्जिंग अनफ मनी फ्रॉम देम। आप फ्री में एडवाइस देते हैं कि लेट्स द क्लाइंट एटलीस्ट आज आ जाना चाहिए, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दे स्टॉप गिविंग एनी रेस्पेक्ट टू यू एंड दे आर गिविंग रेस्पेक्ट टू कमिश्नर्स, दोज हु हैव टेकन अवे मनी, harassing him, illegally advising everything. Therefore, if the cash they have taken away, they have not retained. अब दोबारा से पढ़िए सेंटेंस को, he has to retain. वो रिटेन नहीं कर रहा है, एग्जामिनेशन क्या करेगा? वो तो बैंक में दे के आया, सीधा वहां से सीधा बैंक ही गया, उसकी एग्जामिनेशन अब करेगा ही कैसे हो? इसका मतलब ही ये हुआ दैट कैश ही नेवर नीड इट। एम आई क्लियर? सेक्शन यही तो कह रहा है You have to seize only those things which you required. And he himself says, I don't require. This is the law where they arrest any person. Immediately they take it to the magistrate. They send him to the judicial custody. They never need any custodial interrogation at all. फिर अरेस्ट ही क्यों करते हैं? Have they wrote in that arrest memo something, though it is not my topic, just 3 words I am telling you. Have they wrote कि no, he will run away, or he will not appear, or he will, wipe out the evidence, or influence the witnesses? No. The law is totally different. You can't arrest a person nowadays. If you are arresting a person, you have to give in writing why the person need to be arrested. If the offense, ultimate punishment is up to 7 years. Therefore, if you are making a search and seizure, you have to read this provision carefully, whether the authorization which was granted was for inspection or for the search. If, in fact, Rule 139, you have to prepare one seizure memo. That is INS 02. जीएसटी लॉ में कुछ बेनिफिशियल प्रोविजंस हैं. पहले कोई फॉर्म वॉर्म ही नहीं होता था, जो मर्जी जैसे मर्जी चिट्ठी लिखते रहते थे. अब एवरीथिंग इज फॉर्मुलेटेड फॉर एसएससी एज वेल एज ऑफिसर्स. बट ऑफिसर कहता है हम तो नहीं मानेंगे, ज्यादातर वो मानता भी नहीं है. और मानता है तो क्या करता है? दोज हु आर प्रैक्टिसिंग इनकम टैक्स, दे मस्ट बी नोइंग इट. ही जस्ट टेक ए प्रिंट आउट ऑफ दैट फॉर्म एंड दैट ही just sign it. Whether a stroke can work or not, whether you have removed the unnecessary words there or not. It says inspection/search. He doesn't know whether it was for inspection or a search. Whether it is books, records, document, things, he doesn't know. The form is as it is. Let's take another example where again filed the writ petition before Gujarat High Court, where the search was carried by the officer of the Gujarat in Mumbai. Now the question was that how to get out of it. If you want to get out of it, you have to dig out the same very papers, maybe 10 times, 12 times, you will find something. And before approaching to me, they had the largest, the firm of this, that and blah, blah. I already said to them, मैंने कहा देखिए हम तो लिटिगेशन लॉयर हैं, हम ये लार्जेस्ट समझते नहीं है. हमारा तो सीधा जज के साथ नाता होता है, जैसे एक भगत का भगवान के साथ रहता है. इसमें लार्ज और स्मॉल की बात ही नहीं है. मैंने कहा इसमें डॉक्यूमेंट तो आप पढ़ ही नहीं रहे हैं. व्हाट आई रेड द डॉक्यूमेंट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. Search was conducted, there was a one Panchanama. Search was conducted, there was a one INS 02 for seizure and one summon. Same day, 6 January 2021. The officer who has signed all these 3 documents, the signature is totally different, North and South Pole. Stamp is different. One is from Mumbai, one is from Ahmedabad. Designation is different. Name of the officer is same. लगता नहीं स्पेशल 26 है. Now how would you know whether he was from the GST department? आप हेजिटेट नहीं करें, आप उनसे आई कार्ड मांग सकते हैं, क्यों नहीं मांगेंगे. आफ्टर 26/11, Ministry of Home issued many advertisement in the newspaper. Anybody entering in your premises, check his authenticity and identity card. मेरे यहाँ तो पुलिस वाला आता है, तो मैं ज़्यादा बोलेगा तो देखो आई कार्ड दिखाना पड़ेगा और उसकी फोटोकॉपी भी रखेंगे. नहीं हम तो पुलिस से हैं. मैंने कहा अभी पार्लियामेंट में आया था, वो भी ऐसे ही लग रहा था पुलिस में. नहीं बोला हाँ लगता तो ऐसा ही था. तो मैंने कहा क्या पता. बोला बात तो ठीक कह रहे हो सर. फिर मैंने कहा चेक करवाओ. नहीं बोला वो तो लेके नहीं आए. नहीं? Therefore, if their signature is totally different, I am not saying कि थोड़ा सा इधर से उधर हो गया, स्टैंप इज टोटली डिफरेंट, वो दिल्ली से ना अहमदाबाद से है कि मुंबई से है ये भी नहीं पता है, डेजिग्नेशन भी डिफरेंस हो जाता है। एक ही दिन की बात कर रहा हूं मैं, क्योंकि हमारे बहुत सारे फ्रेंड्स ऐसे होते हैं, सर हो सकता है प्रमोशन हो गया हो सकता है साइन चेंज कर लिया हो, यू नो। मैंने कहा व्हाई यू आर आर्गुइंग फॉर ए डिपार्टमेंट? नहीं, I can remember once a law minister I met long back. He said, Mr. Mittal, your biodata is quite interesting, we will retain it. मैंने कहा सॉरी, मैं सरकार के लिए काम नहीं कर सकता, मैं कर ही नहीं सकता, क्योंकि मैं ऐसे ऑफिसर्स जिसने आतंक मचा रखा है सीधा ही जज के सामने कहूंगा इसको जेल डालें, ना तो जज साइन करेगी ना आपकी सरकार साइन करेगी कि यू हैव टू सेव योर क्लाइंट। नो नो, नॉर्मल क्लाइंट और गवर्नमेंट में बहुत फर्क होता है। आई मेक ए स्टोर जस्टिस, यू नो, रघुराम गौड़ा यूज्ड टू से, द गवर्नमेंट इज लाइक अ माई बाप, दे हैव टू बी ऑलवेज ट्रूथफुल। तो दिस, इफ दे कंडक्ट ए सर्च and now the another story come up, in every search they sit on your head, they said you deposit that much tax, like in income tax, right from my article slip I heard सरेंडर कर दिया, मैं समझ नहीं पाता, और मेरे को लगता पूरे इनकम टैक्स में ये वर्ड भी नहीं है सरेंडर वगैरह, ये किसने कहां से वर्ड क्वाइन किया, आई डू नॉट नो, सरेंडर किया। तो दे फोर्स यू टू पे द टैक्स। Now it is a digital tax compulsory. Earlier it was not. In earlier regime they used to take post-dated check, this check, everything. This time Justice Muralidharan, as a judge from Delhi High Court, referred even matter to the CVC by making a serious observation. On the spot you are asking to pay the tax. It has the two implications. Either the client refused to pay you the bribe and you are asking him to pay the money, or either you have accepted the bribe, 500 crore rupees become 5 crores. What kind of wisdom you have कि just in 1 minute you came to know that much tax is there? There is a procedure laid down in the law. कसाब के लिए तो सारा प्रोसीजर इस देश में बना हुआ है, असेसी के लिए नहीं है। बोले ही कांट हायर इवन ए चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट और एन एडवोकेट, आप अभी रात के 12 बजे जमा कराएंगे, एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू, आप तो आपकी हाई कोर्ट तो यूट्यूब पे ही चलती है। रिसेंटली अगेन ए ऑफिसर वाज कॉल्ड बाय जस्टिस पार्टीवाला, डिस्पाइट सो मेनी ऑर्डर यू कांट आस्क एनीवन ऑन द स्पॉट टू पे द टैक्स। इसे हम परमाइशी से नहीं छोड़ेंगे। तो वन ऑफ माई अनदर क्लाइंट वाज सर्च्ड बाय जीएसटी डिपार्टमेंट फॉर सर्विस टैक्स मैटर आफ्टर 2017। their chartered accountant came to me. They were so afraid. पहले तो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट ने आते कहा इनको सम्मान आ गया मिस्टर मित्तल, वो तो जाना ही पड़ेगा। मैंने कहा देखिए मेरे पास एडवाइस लेने आए हैं, मेरे को देने आए हैं। आप फैक्ट बताएंगे, यू विल नॉट एडवाइज, द क्लाइंट विल मिसअंडरस्टैंड दैट आई एम एडवाइजिंग। सम्मान पे तो जाना ही नहीं होता है, क्योंकि ये कागज के सम्मान की जितनी बेइज्जती जीएसटी डिपार्टमेंट ने की है कहीं नहीं, किसी ने नहीं की। इसकी इज्जत होती थी, लोग डरते थे। अब मेरे से कोई पूछता सम्मान आ गया, मैंने कहा नहीं जाएंगे तो क्या होगा, कुछ भी नहीं होएगा, एक बार फिर सम्मान भेजेगा, वैसे तो भेजेगा ही नहीं, वो कहता है कुछ मिलना तो यहां से है नहीं, बिकॉज ही जस्ट यूजिंग इट एज ए टूल टू बी करप्ट। दे वर सो अफ्रेड। उनका क्लाइंट मेरे को ये कह रहा है सर हमारे तन बदन के कपड़े भी बिकवा दो, हमारे बीवी बच्चों को भी बिकवा दो चाहे, बट यू सेव अस। मैंने कहा ऐसा क्या हो गया भाई? बोला उन्होंने इतना टेरराइज किया, रात के 12 बजे हमारा रजिस्ट्रेशन दिलवाया, रात के 12 बजे रजिस्ट्रेशन। यहां तो दिन में नहीं मिल रहा है, आप जीएसटी वालों से पूछो कोई रजिस्ट्रेशन लेके आता है तो चक्कर लगवा देते हैं। पैसा सारे बैंकों का इकट्ठा करके ले गए कि ये सारा टैक्स का हो गया, अब बचा ही क्या हमारे पास। मैंने कहा इतना घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है, वी विल हैंडल ऑल दिस केस। हमारा तो काम ही ये है, जो ऑफिसर डराता है इसका मतलब वो करप्ट है, और अगर आप करप्ट को डील नहीं कर सकते तो फिर पढ़े लिखे किस लिए हैं? नहीं, मतलब कोई ये कहे कि मेरे ऊपर झूठा आरोप लगा दिया रेप का, मर्डर का, आप उसको नहीं बचा सकते, तो एक्चुअल मर्डर वाले को बचाएंगे आप? We filed the petitions. That's why this question arises. वो मैं कई बार पहले जब पढ़ना स्टार्ट करता था सोचता था कि ऐसा क्या होता है कि we call it, he is a very learned jurist, lawyers, learned chartered accountant, क्या है? सेक्शन तो वही होता है, नहीं? Then I slowly, gradually, क्योंकि मेरे अंदर 2-3 डेफिशिएंसी है. I have never been trained even for a second. एडवोकेसी का मेरे को किसी ने एक सेकंड भी नहीं बताया, कुछ भी. मैंने किसी के नीचे आज तक एक सेकंड के लिए भी काम नहीं किया. लेकिन हाउ आई डेवलप इट एज ए स्टूडेंट, आई फाइल्ड ए केस अगेंस्ट विजय माल्या, सुनील भारती मित्तल, ICICI बैंक, ऑल आर इन ट्रबल. ये कोई भी केस ऐसा नहीं था जो सीधा उनके पेट में जाके ना लगे. दैट मीन्स यू हैव टू अप्लाई योर माइंड कि व्हाट प्रेयर यू आर सीकिंग, what fact you have to disclose, and how you can make up a case. But the judge will ask, you want to stall the investigation, you have come for this purpose, that purpose. That is not an issue at all. You bring it. Everybody is governed by the law. And ultimately in that case, what happened, the judge wrote, the officer will not call to the client at all. Whatever information they needed, they ask to the High Court will supply them. अब किस ऑफिसर्स की हिम्मत है? और ये भी लिखवाया हमने एफिडेविट के अंदर. ऑफिसर आस्क, हाउ यू फाइंड द जेके मित्तल, व्हाट इज इज फीस, हाउ यू कैन अफोर्ड इट, आप इतना पैसा लाएंगे कहां से, ये वो हमने सब कुछ एफिडेविट में लिख दिया. ये इनका कंडक्ट है. तो वंस यू ट्राई टू मेक आउट ए केस, of course the officers are not honest at all. They appears to be honest. That's why you see GST में कितनी सर्च होती है. आप एक RTI फाइल करेंगे, मैंने एक RTI फाइल किया मे बी 3-4 साल पहले, कि जितने लोगों को आपने अरेस्ट किया पिछले 5-7 साल में, मेरे को बस सिर्फ ये इंफॉर्मेशन दो कि हाउ मेनी पीपल्स यू हैव अरेस्टेड एंड अगेंस्ट हाउ मेनी पीपल्स यू हैव फाइल्ड ए अल्टीमेट कंप्लेंट बिफोर द मैजिस्ट्रेट. They said we don't have any information. Because if they will disclose, you will find 99% cases, those people have been arrested, against them never any complaint is filed in the court. Can you imagine what statement I am making? जिसको अरेस्ट करते हैं वो कहते हैं 2 पर्पज हमारे सर्व हो गए. अरेस्ट करने से हमें बहुत सारी ब्राइब मिल गई, अरेस्ट करने से हमने उसको अरेस्ट कर दिया. केस तो झूठा ही है, कंप्लेंट फाइल करेंगे तो सक्सीड तो हो नहीं सकते. सरकार को पैसा चाहिए था, वो मिल ही गया, कुछ हमें मिल गया, कुछ सरकार को मिल गया. इज इट ए वे ऑफ डीलिंग विद द एनी? इफ यू रीड द सुप्रीम कोर्ट डिसीजंस, दे से द लाइफ एंड लिबर्टी इज द फोरमोस्ट राइट ऑफ एनी पर्सन. यू कैन अरेस्ट इवन ए पर्सन फॉर ए सेकेंड. उनके लिए मजाक हो गया है. सेम इज द पोजिशन अंडर सर्च एंड सीजर. You can't conduct a search just because you feel like that you want to conduct a search. Therefore, if we read the provision carefully, we can find lot many things. One more thing, if they carry out the search, as you know, the section 100 of the CRPC is applicable. And read the subsection 10 of the GST law. It says, this one. The provision of the Code of Criminal Procedure relating to the search and seizure shall, so far as may be applied to the search and seizure under this section, subject to the modification, magistrate की जगह commissioner change हो जाएगा. Therefore, if you read the CRPC, it's very clear. You to have 2 independent panchas living in the locality. If you can't find, that is a different issue you can have from public sector. Another search I was dealing with, with a search was conducted in Chhattisgarh and punch is from Kochi. शुक्र है वो पाकिस्तान या अफ्रीका से नहीं लेके आए. चलो ठीक है, माना कि उनको छत्तीसगढ़ में बस्तर में नहीं मिला तो पड़ोस से ले आते. कोची, दैट मीन्स ए प्लांटेड, द पंचास दे हैव. जितने भी आप सर्च देखेंगे, मोस्ट ऑफ देम देयर ओन ड्राइवर, ही बिकम ए पंच. दैट्स व्हाई दे नेवर फाइल एनी कंप्लेंट, दे नेवर टेक केस फॉरवर्ड, बिकॉज वो तो जीरो हो जाएगा. एंड देन यू अप्लाई दिस जजमेंट ऑफ इलाहाबाद हाई कोर्ट. What it says, section 165 CRPC shall apply to the search carried out under central excise which equivalent to the GST. It will also be applicable here. Therefore, if you see how the police can conduct a search, the police can conduct a search when they feel something can never be recovered other than to carrying out a search. Only then the search can be conducted. अब यहां पे तो क्या होता है, अभी उस चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट की बात करें, उसका मोबाइल फोन आज भी उन्हीं के पास है, उसका लैपटॉप भी उन्हीं के पास है, लेकिन वो सील करके कुछ भी नहीं लेके गए. वो बार बार कहते मेरी डायरी ले गए, और डायरी में तो बहुत कुछ लिखा हुआ है. मैंने कहा बिल्कुल लिखा है, उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है. जैन हवाला की डायरी में कुछ नहीं हुआ तो आपकी डायरी में क्या होगा. नहीं, सबको पता होगा सुप्रीम कोर्ट का डिसीजन. आप डायरी वारी से क्यों डरते हो. डरेगा वो तो खुद ही लिख रहा है उस डायरी में बैठ के रोज. नहीं लिख रहा क्या, जो डायरी सील ही करके नहीं लेके गया. इनफैक्ट लेट मी फर्स्ट टाइम टेल यू, आई ड्राफ्टेड ए लेटर फॉर प्राइम मिनिस्टर एंड फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर in this matter and asked to the concerned authority, you have to send it. Ultimately all the commissioner all were called by the Ministry of Finance. They were targeting every chartered accountant. Openly कह रहे थे जो chartered accountant पैसे नहीं देगा उसके search कर दो. If you can't deal with such kind of officers, shame on us. They are targeting professionals. How they will carry out their duties? And ultimately, the commissioner filed a reply in that petition. 3 things to be noted. First, statement is not required to be recorded after giving a summons. It can be recorded without a summons. तो फिर सम्मन देने की जरूरत ही क्यों है भाई, देते ही क्यों किसी को. जब बिना सम्मन के ही, जब आपको ग्रीन कार्ड मिला हुआ है, फिर भी आप वीजा की लाइन में लगे हुए हो. नहीं, आपका दिमाग क्लियर तो है नहीं. क्लियर एक ही में पैसा कैसे बनाना है. सेकंड, दे सेड वी हैव नॉट डन सीजर ऑफ रिकॉर्ड्स, मोबाइल एंड लैपटॉप. अभी हम उनको देख रहे हैं कि सीज करना है कि नहीं करना है. जब तक तो लैपटॉप में पता नहीं क्या क्या मसाला डाल दिया होगा. हो सकता है यूक्रेन का युद्ध भी यहीं से स्टार्ट कर दिया होगा. कैन यू डू इट? जस्ट थिंक ओवर इट. थर्डली, जितने डिन नंबर थे बाद के भी, वो सब वेबसाइट पे चेक किए तो उसमें लिखा लेटर लेटर लेटर. इवन सर्च का भी लेटर. तो क्या वो एफिडेविट फाइल कर रहे हैं? कैन यू इमेजिन. कहते हैं कि जब एसएससी देख रहा है इस स्क्रीन पे ना, तो उसको लेटर दिखाई दे रहा है, लेकिन हम इधर से देख रहे हैं तो उसमें संबंध दिखाई दे रहा है. टेक्निकल ग्लिचेज है. ये एक नया फंडा निकाला है उन्होंने. ऐसा भी होने लग गया अब हैं. नहीं, मैं ऑन रिकॉर्ड बात कर रहा हूं. ये सारी कोई भी बातें देखिए, मैं एक बहुत ही रेस्पेक्टेड प्लेटफॉर्म पे खड़े होके बात कर रहा हूं. एंड आई नोज माई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. एवरी डे अपीयर बिफोर कोर्ट. ये नहीं है कि मैं थ्योरेटिकल पर्सन हूं. मैं तो हर केस को आर्ग्यू ऐसे स्टार्ट करता हूं. देयरफॉर इफ दीज थिंग्स आर टेकन सीरियसली, सेक्शन को आप पढ़ेंगे तो यू विल फाइंड सो मेनी थिंग्स, बिकॉज दे कीप विद देम टू अब्यूज इट एंड दे आर अब्यूजिंग इट. यू स्टार्ट राइटिंग इट. एक थोड़ा लीक से हटके बताता हूं, कस्टम का अभी एक केस, वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, रिलेटेड टू द टॉपिक बट नॉट रिलेटेड टू द सर्च एंड सीजर अंडर जीएसटी. I am associated with the PhD Chamber of Commerce for last more than 20 years as with the SOCHM. The PhD Chamber has another wing, PhD welfare, foundations. They imported so many oxygen plant to give it free of cost in second wave to the government hospitals. एक ऑफिसर्स उसने 4 ऑक्सीजन प्लांट ही कॉन्फिस्केटेड कर ली, और मेरे पास तो तब आते हैं ना जब बिल्कुल आईसीयू में आखिरी सांस होती है, पहले ही दिन आ जाते उस ऑफिसर्स की, तो वहीं हम छुट्टी कर देते. एंड आई हैव रोट टू द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिसर सेंड मी द लेटर आल्सो. आई सेड हमने लिटिगेशन तो फाइल कर ही दिया है. तो 3-4 थिंग्स ही रोट. आप देखिए करप्शन का लेवल कितना हाई है कि लिखने के लिए या तो जिगरा चाहिए या आप समझो कि कोई डर ही नहीं है. देयर इज नो लेस्ट ऑफ लॉ इन दिस कंट्री. दे आर वेरी श्योर कि हम कोर्ट में भी जाएंगे, एक बार कहेंगे सॉरी, आगे से नहीं करेंगे तो हम बच के आ जाएंगे. कोर्ट शुड मेक ए लॉ कि ऐसे सभी ऑफिसर्स के लिए अलग से काल कोठरी बनेगी. ज्यादा नहीं, 1 हफ्ते के लिए, हर एक के 1 हफ्ते में ठीक हो जाएंगे. फर्स्ट थिंग सी रोट, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज नो अथॉरिटी टू इशू दिस नोटिफिकेशन अंडर जीएसटी लॉ. Can an officer write this line? Second, they said the issue involved of the IGST only, but she confiscated under the Custom Act, levied penalties and tax under Custom Act. Therefore, reading of the documents makes so many things. Reading of the provisions, the same provisions, coupled with the certain judgments. Let's quickly, if we have a time for. Do we have a time? 5-10 minutes? The couple of decisions, I'm sure you know. ITO versus Seth Brothers of income tax decision. Now this decision, para 10, this line is very important. Sometimes the people ask me, how we will come to know whether there was a reason to believe or not? Okay, you challenge the search. There was no reason to believe. If there is a reason to believe, the judge has to call the file and to see it. Sufficiency of the reason, judge can't go into that. But whether there is a reason to believe it or not, 99% case you will find there is no reason to believe. Why? Because most of the cases there is a rubber stamp decisions. And rubber stamp decision is not decision at all. What does it mean? If a superintendent form an opinion, and he asked the joint commissioner, you give an authorization, he said, okay. That is not a reason to believe at all. Reason to believe means the officer himself has to apply the mind. Similarly, in this judgment it was said, like in the case they took away, if your document, etc., something has been taken away. If you challenge that, what the Supreme Court said in para 10, aggrieved party may undoubtedly move a competent court for an order releasing the document seized. That time was a document under income tax, now you can say the case, etc. In such a proceeding, the officer who has made the search will be called upon to prove how the document seized are likely to be useful or for a relevant to a proceeding under the Act. Same word is used under GST law. Am I clear? So suppose, even if assume that the case can be taken away, now you challenge it to release it. He has to prove it, how it is to be relevant for the proceeding under this act. और इसमें तो आप सेकंड प्रोविजो पढ़ेंगे, that is make very clear. He can retain as long as he want to inspect it. और उसकी जेब में जो 2000 का नोट है और जो वहां से उठा के लाया, फर्क नंबर का ही है, बाकी कोई नहीं है. अभी तो गादी बाबा ही चल रहे हैं. हाँ, बाद में अगर दूसरे महापुरुष आ गए तो वो भी फर्क आ सकता है. Therefore, we should be confident once we are asking to a judge. The court will ask you, no, such a huge case, this case. The question is not like that. Like the Rajasthan High Court asked me, इतनी सारी प्रॉपर्टी आपके क्लाइंट के पास कैसे है? मैंने कहा है, इसमें क्या है? इज इट ऑफेंस? नहीं, पीएमएलए में. मैंने कहा पहले उसी में भेजो, एक प्रैक्टिस और चलेगी हमारी. नहीं, वन कैन हैव इट. मैंने कहा पैसे देते हैं भाई, टैक्स देते हैं, प्रॉपर्टी है, इसमें क्या है भाई? मेरे पास एक घर है तो जरूर थोड़ी है सबके पास एक घर होगा. हो सकता है लोगों के पास 50 घर भी हो. नहीं, अब पुतिन के पास कोई बता रहे थे काफी है, नहीं? Therefore, you should be very confident once we draft our petition, draft a prayers, and as well as interrogating a client to know everything. जज वो चीज पूछने वाला है जो आपके माइंड में नहीं है. Don't limit yourself. मैं तो सबसे पहले क्लाइंट से पूछता हूं कि डिड यू हैड एनी अदर इन्वेस्टिगेशन, एनी सर्च एटसेट्रा. और जैसे ये क्वेश्चन पूछता हूं तो क्लाइंट का चेहरा देखने लायक होता है. दिस एडवोकेट इज वेरी ग्रीडी. मैं तो इस सर्च की बात करने हूं, पुरानी भी पूछ रहा है. ये सोच रहा है कि वो भी मेरे पास केस ले आओ. ये नहीं है पूछने का आश्चर्य. आप समझ गए ना? जब डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, कहते हैं पेट में दर्द हुआ है, तो या पहले भी कभी हुआ है? हर डॉक्टर ये पूछता है क्या? नहीं. तो मैं भी वही डॉक्टर हूं. उसको लग रहा है और उसका बेनिफिट उसको दिलाता हूं मैं. लाइक द अनदर सर्च वाज कंडक्टेड इन दिल्ली वेयर द एमडी ऑफ दैट कंपनी वाज अरेस्टेड. और जब सर्च कंडक्ट हुई थी ना, उस दिन हमारे ऑफिस में जब आया तो उसको कही थी भाई इतनी फीस जमा कराओ तो हम चैलेंज कर देंगे. तब वो जूनियर को कहता है नहीं नहीं अभी आप बना लो. सोचते हैं बोला यहाँ सोचना वो चल नहीं है, पहले मित्तल साहब पैसे लेते हैं उसके बाद काम करेंगे. इतने में तो वो अरेस्ट हो गया अगले दिन. फिर तो फीस भी बढ़ गई. नहीं, देन हिज सन सेड कि नहीं नहीं अब तो पापा ने जेल से ही कहा है यू डू इट. एंड देन दे डॉक्यूमेंट जो उनको महीने से नहीं मिल रहे थे वो 2 घंटे में डॉक्यूमेंट भी मिल गए. एंड फर्स्ट आर्गुमेंट आई टुक इट बिफोर द जज in Delhi High Court. I said, it is not my MD should have been arrested. The commissioner should have been arrested first. And you need a guts if you are making such statement. Why I was saying so? This client has been assessed by the same very department for last 10 years, year after years. Given a clean chit. Now the another officer comes and he tried to make some statement that will not work at all. Therefore, if such a case is made out, immediately interim order was given and ultimately within 6 months the final judgment came. The search is illegal, arrest is illegal and 1 lakh rupees penalty on the department also. Therefore, there are n number of reasons. It is if depend upon in which country and which environments you are living. Like I used to come Gujarat for last several years. I used to say कि यहाँ पे आप गले के अंदर मंगलसूत्र भी पहन सकते हैं, सोने की चैन या हीरे की पहन सकते हैं, आप मोबाइल भी बड़ा फ्लैश करके चल सकते हैं. दिल्ली में जाएंगे तो आपको लगता है ये चेन वेन ये सब तजूरी के अंदर ही रहती है, आप पहन ही नहीं सकते हैं. मोबाइल भी छुपा छुपा के चलना पड़ता है कि ऐसे लेके चलेंगे. अराउंड 200 व्हीकल्स एवरी डे देयर इज ए व्हीकल थेफ्ट. एंड 31 दिसंबर को 500-600. जबकि अभी मेरे मित्र पूछ रहे थे आपके मुख्यमंत्री कैसे हैं. मैंने कहा हर गली नुक्कड़ पे, हर आपके आगे और पीछे कैमरा लगा हुआ है, फिर भी ये चोरियां होती है. क्यों होती है भाई? अनलेस द पुलिस इज हैंड इन ग्लो और द पुलिस इज नेग्लिजेंट, इट कैन नेवर हैपन. पूरे वर्ल्ड के अंदर एक कंट्री नहीं मिलेगी, सिटी तो छोड़िए. देयरफॉर द काइंड ऑफ लॉ वी आर डीलिंग विद, we have to see the conduct of the officers. We have to interpret the law accordingly. We understand the law accordingly. And then you see the goods, etc. I already told you. Whether the cash can be seized or not. Another Delhi High Court order came. They categorically said we have not gone into issue of the cash seizure at all. But Arvind Goyal petition is pending, which I have already told you. Rajasthan High Court, this decision I already discussed with you. Yes, this Kishore Kumar, Arora case is of search and seizure is very interesting. One of my old family friend, chartered accountant, approaches me. First, initially discuss over phone. मैंने कहा पेपर भेजें तो we will apply mine. And then I came to know the entire proceeding initiated by the department was totally illegal. The search was conducted. Goods was confiscated, given on Spurdgi Nama. That godown is locked since 2019. And their chartered accountant already paid the entire amount of tax. whatever you want to collect it. But still वो मामला सुलटा नहीं. वो जीएसटी में पता नहीं क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम है. वो कहते हैं कि नहीं ये कैजुअल रजिस्ट्रेशन है, ये आपने जमा कराया इस रजिस्टर में, इस रजिस्टर से इधर नहीं पहुंचा है. पता नहीं, मैं ये समझता नहीं हूँ टेक्निकल चीज़ें. हम लिटिगेशन के आदमी, हम तो कहते हैं हमारी जेब से पैसा गया गया. वो कहते नहीं इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कैश रजिस्टर है, ये इलेक्ट्रॉनिक है, ये बगैर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक है. ये क्या होता है इलेक्ट्रॉनिक बगैर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक? द मनी हैज़ गॉन. तो मैंने कहा बढ़िया ये नहीं गया है. नाउ वी हैव फाइल्ड ए पिटिशन इन दिस केस that this entire money to be refunded to us with interest, as well as the goods which was confiscated by the time it has spoiled, and you have to compensate to me. Why? Because once the search was conducted, they assessed the value of that goods 39 lakhs. Their chartered accountant said, we are covered by the exemption, we have not taken GST registration 40 lakhs. The officer said, no, you are dealing with the pan Prague, pan masala, it is 20 lakhs limit. So they left, that arguments. But I found 20 lakhs limit is applicable, still I am covered by that. Are you getting my point? Their valuation is 39 lakhs. The limit they themselves says is 20 lakhs is applicable. Now the valuation, I found that includes 39 lakhs, the GST law. The GST cess, etc. If you exclude that, it comes below 20 lakhs. If below 20 lakhs, you need not to have GST registration. No law is applicable on you. अब जज ने एक बार क्वेश्चन पूछा कि मित्तल साहब, your client said he was dealing in cash. तो इतनी क्यों थी? इससे ज्यादा भी तो हो सकती है. Why you presume it like this? Why I am discussing it with you, कि आपको तैयार करने के लिए, the same question will come before you, आप कैसे डील करेंगे जज को. Just said I will take a judicial notice of it, this and that. मैंने कहा आपको जो मर्जी करना करिए. Now the situation is that not only search was carried out, investigation completed, so cause notice issued, adjudication done, appeal dismissed. अब उसके बाद क्या करेंगे भाई? उनको लिखना चाहिए था, हमें माल अभी 40 लाख का मिला है, लेकिन ये तो 400 करोड़ की पार्टी है. आप भी पूछते इस ऑफिसर से बाकी कहां गए, ऑफिसर को ही जेल भेजे. नहीं, अब ऑफिसर लिखते हुए ही डरता है. तो दूसरा क्वेश्चन कि उसने लिखा कैश में डील कर रहे थे. तो मैंने कहा यस, 2019 में सर्च हुआ, उसने सबसे पहला बिजनेस 2018 में स्टार्ट किया. 2-3 महीने किया था, उसका 2-3 लाख का सेल रहा था. अब आपके ऊपर है ना, आप एलिगेशन लगाएं तो मैं रेस्पॉन्ड करूं. हम तो कैश में डील कर रहे हैं, या फिर आप एलिगेशन लगाते 400 करोड़ मिला है. नहीं, जज कहता बात तो ठीक कह रहे हैं आप. तो अभी केस कैसे मूव करेगा? तो लेट्स वाइंड अप विद वन एनेक्डोट. वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. आई वाज जस्ट डिस्कसिंग कि कभी कभी लिटिगेशन को कैसे जीता जाता है. तो देयर वाज ए वन पर्सन हु यूज्ड टू टेक लॉट ऑफ ब्राइब, एंड ही वाज कीपिंग एंटायर कैश इन ए वन ट्रंक and keeping every day that sealed. उसको वो स्टैंप लगा के सील करके और उसी पे अपनी चद्दर लगा के he used to sleep over it. The people said कि such a bribe taker and he has never been caught. Somebody made a complaint one then. The CBI came, searched out everything, nothing was found except that trunk. They took it away. Open it, lot of cash was found. Absolutely. And then once case was started, the judge asked, who is your advocate? बोला advocate? उसकी क्या जरूरत है? बोला भाई आपके अगेंस्ट केस है. बोला ठीक है, आप पूछिए, हम जवाब देंगे. बोला आप बहुत घूस लेते हैं. बोला मैंने कभी नहीं ली जिंदगी के अंदर. डिड द सीबीआई फाइंड एनीबॉडी हु सेड कि मैंने किसी से 10 रुपए भी लिए? बोला नो. तो फिर आप क्यों कह रहे हैं घूस ली? नहीं. बोला दिस मनी वॉज फाउंड फ्रॉम योर हाउस. बोला यस दैट इज करेक्ट. नॉट द मनी, दिस ट्रंक वॉज फाउंड. What was in it, I do not know. But if it is a money, you keep it. But the question you should have asked, whether this trunk belongs to me or not. This does not belongs to me. Then judge asked, whose trunk it is? He said, my lord, if I help someone, is it a crime? He said, no. I helped my neighbor. He was running from his house because there was 84 riots in Delhi. He said, keep my trunk here, I will come back. For the last 10 years, 15 years, he has not come back. I'm watching his trunk only. So because of his arguments, the judge, allow him, you go scot-free. Nothing happened. So therefore, there are a lot of things as an advocate or as a chartered accountant we can learn and practice this. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So we are in your interactive session with real life examples which talks about your immense experience. Thank you so much, sir, once again. At this juncture, we would like to felicitate the dignitaries on the dais at the hands of our eminent speaker, Advocate J.K. Mittal, sir. So may I please request you to felicitate Advocate Bharat Sheth, sir, with a memento. Followed by C.A. Ravisha. Advocate Mahendra Swamy. Advocate Narendra Karkar. C.A. Ritesh Gandhi. Advocate Madhusudan Patel. Thank you, sir. This marks the end of the 6th technical session, and I request all the dignitaries on the dais to come forward for a group photograph. Yes, it's time for the much needed